So Tna Impact took place from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the show starts with Dixie Carter coming to the ring. She says that Hogan's ego got the best of him, and that's why he's no longer with TNA, even though she doesn't mention his name and won't mention his name anymore. Dixie says that having Hogan in TNA didn't mean that she needed him there. She says that no one has to tell her how to run the company because she is the best thing going in the wrestling industry. Dixie says that last week she told AJ Styles to leave the building, but he came back anyway and got involved with Bully Ray after his match with Samoa Joe. She wants Styles to show up tonight because she has given Bully Ray permission to book Styles in any match he wants with any stipulation that he wants. And then Sting comes to the ring and wants to know what's up with Dixie. Dixie says that the talent in the back are being evaluated, and that includes Sting. She criticizes Sting for making Hogan the GM as well as making a match for himself at Bound for Glory against Magnus. Dixie threatens Sting's job status and feels that she has to undo what he did last week. She tells Sting that he and Magnus will face bad influence later tonight, and that if either Sting or Magnus lose, then both of them won't wrestle at Bound for Glory. And Dixie says that if that happens, she will decide whether Sting stays with or leaves TNA. After having her previous non-effective heel build canceled out by Hogan's unwillingness to put her over, Dixie had to start over and try to erase what happened last week. Dixie was better off groveling to Hogan because that was more convincing than what she did tonight. She is not improving, and she continues to get worse. Now she's trying different voices to go along with her lack of verbal skills. The last few weeks we got the Southern Belle drawl. On this show we got the whiny suburban housewife. What will it be next week or the week after that? Stuffy school teacher voice? Mousy librarian voice? No matter what voice she uses or how bad she is, Bound for Glory continues to revolve around Dixie, and it is being downgraded because of that. So then we see Austin Aries backstage, and he says that Jeff Hardy is desperate to take the attention away from him. Aries points out that he held the X Division title longer than anyone else, and that he was the originator of Option C. Aries says that he hates the Ultimate X match, but Hardy needs it because it's the spot-heavy match that he craves. He says that he is a great wrestler and that Hardy will find that out when they face each other. And Aries says that he will become the X Division champion at Bound for Glory and do Option C once again to become the world champion. Now, Aries' hate for the Ultimate X match is not kayfabe. He said in a recent interview that he doesn't like to work it because he has to prepare differently than he would a regular match. And he also said that the unpredictability of an Ultimate X match is another reason why he doesn't like doing them. So I thought it was interesting to hear that from him, considering that TNA would probably prefer that he speak more positively about the Ultimate X match at Bound for Glory. So then we see AJ Styles backstage, and Styles says that he's happy to be let in the building without worrying about security harassing him. He's asked if he's worried about Bully Ray getting back at him. Styles says that he's ready to fight, and both Bully Ray and Dixie know that. He says that Dixie will pay because she's about power and leverage. And Styles says that after he wins the title at Bound for Glory, he will have both. So then we had our first match, Austin Aries versus Jeff Hardy. Good match. The match ends with Austin Aries on the top rope and Jeff Hardy down on the mat. Hardy gets to his feet and Aries comes off with a missile dropkick. Aries goes to the corner and eagerly waits for Hardy to get to his feet in the opposite corner. Aries charges, but Hardy extends his legs and knocks Aries to the mat. He sets Aries up and executes an alley-oop facebuster. Hardy kicks Aries in the midsection and attempts to twist a fate, but Aries shoves him into the corner. Hardy catches him with an elbow, then goes to the top rope and nails Aries with the Whisperer in the wind. Hardy goes back to the top rope, but Aries jumps up off the mat and drop kicks the top rope, causing Hardy to fall onto the top turnbuckle. Aries quickly leaps onto the middle rope, positioning himself in front of Hardy, and executes the brainbuster from the middle rope. He gets the 3. The winner of the match, Austin Aries. Then Samoa Joe comes out. He congratulates Aries on his win and recalls Aries making the X Division title match for Bound for Glory, as well as Hardy making it an Ultimate X match. And Samoa Joe decides to add himself to the Ultimate X match. Now, the perception that TNA is presenting is that wrestlers can make their own matches, put themselves in matches, and determine stipulations for matches. If that is the perception, then why couldn't Kenny King come out and put himself in the Ultimate X match? He has issues with 3 wrestlers in this match. Yes, having Samoa Joe added has brought more anticipation to the match, but to see Kenny King brought back after being off Impact so long and quickly discarded makes me wonder why they even bothered bringing him back. So then we have the glorified jobbers, Robbie E. and Mr. Duh, backstage. So then we have Eric Young and dumbass Joseph Park outside in a car. Then, what happened next was something other than what would be considered a wrestling match. ODB versus Mr. Duh. This was bad. This so-called match consists of the following: chop, 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 motorboat, 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 Fred Flintstone sound effect in the corner, roll up a tent. Enough of this. Fast forward. Lady Tapa comes to the ring and destroys ODB, concluding her attack by standing over ODB with the Women's Championship belt in her hand before throwing it down on her and leaving. Let's start with ODB. Did you notice that when she came out with Eric Young, they played his music and put his graphics on the big screen? ODB is over with the fans, but not with TNA. First, her title victory enjoyment was pissed on, and now this. Tapa had to have listened to the criticism that she received for last week's appearance, because this week, she improved. She scaled back on the screaming, no sticking out of the tongue, no raising up of the hair, and the attack was cleaner. She wasn't jaw-dropping, but she was better. I don't understand why this attack happened now. If Tapa was in the Women's Championship match at Bound for Glory, and she shouldn't be, then this would have made sense. Having Tapa attack ODB and hold the belt up telegraphs that ODB will retain the belt at Bound for Glory. When fans watch a championship match, they want to have some sense that a title change is possible. TNA should have had Tapa attack ODB at Bound for Glory. Now Tapa will likely still show up there and go after ODB again, but the initial attack should have been saved until Bound for Glory because it would have set up the post Bound for Glory program much better. So then we see Aces and Eights backstage. Garrett Bischoff tells Bully Ray that because of him, they are down to 3 people. And Mike Knox backs Bischoff up on that. And Bully Ray tells both of them that Mr. Anderson is responsible for all of this. He says that Anderson was responsible for Devon leaving TNA and that Anderson was the one who challenged him for the belt when they all agreed to do whatever it takes to keep the title in his hands. Bully Ray says that Anderson allowed his ego to wreck the group. And then Knox tells Bully Ray that he didn't have to pile drive Anderson because of his being the VP. Bully Ray says that taking out Anderson in that manner was extreme, But now they have to focus on eliminating AJ Styles. He says that he is going to allow Knox and Bischoff to have the honor of doing it, not just to keep Styles from being at Bound for Glory, but to keep the title in the club. So basically we have hint dropping all over the place in regards to Anderson's eventual return to TNA. So then we see Sting and Magnus backstage getting ready for their match. Sting mentions their in-ring conversation from last week, and Magnus acknowledges that he needed to hear what Sting said to him. He goes on to say that he knows how important to him the match at Bound for Glory is. Sting says that it's crucial for both of them, noting that Bound for Glory is where careers and legacies are established. And Sting says that he has to show that he still has it. Magnus says that they have to think about the match tonight, because if they lose, there won't be a match between the two at Bound for Glory. Well, obviously we know Sting and Magnus are going to win this match, because TNA is certainly not going to eliminate this match from the Bound for Glory lineup. This match is about seeing what type of tension is shown between the two that builds the need to want to see what happens when the two face each other at the pay-per-view. So then we have the Extraordinary Gentlemen's Organization Hall of Fame ceremony. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come to the ring dressed as Harry and Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber. They stand at the podium and introduce Robert Roode as the first inductee to the Gentlemen Hall of Fame. Roode sits in this ridiculously oversized chair as Daniels and Kazarian show him this video of various TNA talent putting Roode over as his name is strategically dubbed over parts of the dialogue. After the video is played, Roode takes the podium and basically he says that he deserves to be in the TNA Hall of Fame more so than Kurt Angle, and Angle hasn't done anything to be inducted while he became the longest reigning TNA World Champion. And then Roode wants to know where Angle is. And then Angle's music plays and he comes out. He belly-to-bellies Daniels, he Germans Kaz, he tries to ankle lock Roode, but Roode escapes. And then Angle tells Roode that they are going to meet at Bound for Glory. Now, I received a considerable amount of feedback about what I said about the Gentleman's segment last week. I was told that the segment wasn't lame, that I don't have a sense of humor. That was the general gist. I have a sense of humor when I think something is funny. I thought it was lame because I can't stand when TNA forces Robert Roode to do comedy. That's all he did in that segment last week. On this show, I thought the Gentleman Hall of Fame segment was entertaining because for the most part, even though that might be stretching it, Roode stayed within the serious heel persona that he is supposed to be portraying. Roode didn't walk out there wearing a costume. He didn't do a yuck routine at the podium. Let Roode remain a serious heel. Daniels and Kazarian are not going to be doing serious promos. Why should Roode be forced to do comedy? If Roode and Bad Influence stay within their respective heel parameters, I won't have any issues. So then we had a women's match. Velvet Sky accompanied by Fail Sabin versus Brooke Tessmacher. And the winner will be in a three-way match with ODB and Gail Kim for the Women's Championship at Bound for Glory. So-so match. Sloppy at times. The match ends with Tessmacher straddling the middle rope, mocking Velvet. Velvet responds with a kick to the midsection. She whips Tessmacher into the ropes and delivers a barely connecting arm tap. Velvet follows that with another barely connecting arm tap. She hits Tessmacher with an elbow and whips her, but Tessmacher reverses the whip. Velvet kicks her in the chest, comes off the ropes, and executes a quarter-ass bulldog. Velvet goes for the pin, but Tessmacher kicks out. Velvet kicks Tessmacher twice, comes off the ropes again, and delivers a neckbreaker. Velvet goes for the pin, but Tessmacher kicks out again. Fail Sabin calls Velvet over to the ropes and decides to draw out match strategy with his finger on his hand. And Tessmacher sneaks up behind Velvet and rolls her up for the 3. The winner of the match, Brooke Tessmacher. Tessmacher will face ODB and Gail Kim for the Women's Championship at Bound for Glory. Now, this was Tessmacher's first match on Impact in 6 months. And it showed. And it will never matter what the situation is as far as Velvet is concerned, because she will always give the same limited performance. Thankfully, we didn't have to listen to Fail Sabin open his mouth to do another lame promo. And whatever was heard from Sabin during the match was irrelevant. Now, what is this gripe about Gail Kim being in the Women's Championship match at Bound for Glory? Of course Gail is going to be in the match. She's the nucleus of the women's division. Putting Gail in this match makes it decent at the very least. I guess Gail had to come out and announce that she was putting herself in the Women's Championship match, since other wrestlers are making matches and putting themselves in matches. Maybe then no one would have had a problem then. With the state of the women's division being the way it is, Gail Kim is a need, not a want. So then we see a repeat of the Ethan video from last week, yet TNA gives the impression that it was shown earlier tonight. Then we see a new video with him walking out with girls, dogs, and fireballs in the background. He takes off his shades and mugs for the camera, and we find out that his full name is Ethan Carter III. Now, after seeing his face, Ethan reminds me of Gino Hernandez. And for those of you not familiar with that name, go to YouTube. Gino Hernandez was a heel from the 80s, and his persona was, the rich, arrogant playboy with a serious slant. If they push this Ethan the same way, this could work. But since they have given him the last name Carter, I doubt it. So then we had the tag team match, Sting and Magnus versus Bad Influence. Decent match. The match ends with Christopher Daniels and Magnus exchanging blows. Magnus gains the advantage, but Daniels grabs his head and slams it down on his own head. Daniels comes off the ropes, but Magnus passes him and comes off the same ropes and hits him with a clothesline takedown. As Daniels tags off to Kazarian, Magnus makes the tag to Sting. Sting ducks a punch from Kazarian and chops him to the mat. He follows that with a drop kick, then a clothesline. Sting kicks Kazarian in the midsection, comes off the ropes, and drives Kazarian's face into the mat. He goes for the pin, and as Daniels comes down with an elbow drop, Sting moves out of the way, causing Daniels to come down on Kazarian. Sting throws Daniels over the top rope. He makes the tag to Magnus, who goes to the top rope and comes off with the flying elbow drop. Instead of going for the pin, which bothers Sting, Magnus locks Kazarian in the cloverleaf. Daniels comes in and hits Magnus from behind. Sting slaps Magnus on the back, tagging himself in. Yes, I know, Earl Hebner didn't see the tag, but does it really matter? Sting hits Kazarian in the corner with the Stinger Splash and finishes him with the Scorpion Death Drop for the 3. The winners of the match, Sting and Magnus. And then Magnus gives Sting a stern look, obviously pissed because Sting wouldn't allow him to get the pin. And Sting seems to be telling him that he had the chance to make the pin, but he didn't take it. And they leave the ring walking apart from each other. Now, as I said earlier, this match was going to be about seeing what tension would develop between Magnus and Sting, and we saw it. That doesn't mean you turn Magnus heel, according to the rumblings that I've been hearing. TNA has spent the last year building Magnus into a top young face that will likely carry the company in the future. There are no other young faces that TNA has built into this position. Why would you turn Magnus heel? Everyone can't be a heel. You need faces to provide the proper balance. Magnus is better suited to be a face. TNA, you put in the work. Why destroy it? So then we see Dixie Carter and AJ Styles backstage. Dixie tells Styles that he doesn't have to wrestle against Mike Knox and Garrett Bischoff, and that he doesn't have to wrestle Bully Ray at Bound for Glory. She places a check in his hands and tells him that he can buy trailers and start a charity for redneck kids. Styles says that he could buy many things with the money, but not him. He tears up the check and throws it in her face before walking off, and Dixie mumbles something about her not signing the check. Wasted segment, pointless. Dixie is still terrible. So then we had the main event. AJ Styles versus Mike Knox and Garrett Bischoff. And Bully Ray kicks Mike Tna out of his chair and takes a spot. Okay match. The match ends with AJ Styles punching away at Garrett Bischoff. However, Bischoff knees him in the midsection. Bischoff sets Styles up for a vertical suplex, but switches and executes a double underhook suplex. Bischoff goes for the pin, but Styles kicks out. Bischoff tags in Mike Knox, who kicks Styles as Bischoff holds him down on the mat. Knox goes to the middle rope and comes off with a leg drop, but misses. Knox makes the tag, though, to Bischoff. Styles ducks Bischoff's punch and hits Knox with a flying fist. He knocks Bischoff down, clotheslines him, and nails him with a spin kick. Styles knocks Bischoff with a punch that causes him to stagger backwards into the corner. Styles charges the corner, but Bischoff propels him over the top rope onto the ring apron. Bischoff throws a punch, but Styles blocks it and connects with his own. Styles springboards over Bischoff and hits Knox. Bischoff locks Styles in a full Nelson, and Knox comes at Styles with a punch, but Styles ducks, causing Knox to hit Bischoff. Styles hits Knox with a Pele kick, and he rolls up Bischoff for the 3. The winner of the match, AJ Styles. After the match, Knox and Bischoff attack Styles. Bully Ray comes into the ring and tells Knox and Bischoff to back away. Bully Ray has a chain in his hand and starts whipping Styles with it. Styles slowly makes it to his feet and comes at Bully Ray, but Bully Ray backdrops him over the top rope onto the ramp. And then Bully Ray gets on his hands and knees and mounts Styles, berating him on the ramp. Show ends. Now, it was a strong finish at the end of the show that provided a continued build for the main event. But the main event is still revolving around Dixie Carter. The light that shines on Bound for Glory is not there because Dixie Carter is smothering it. The buzz for Bound for Glory is not there because Dixie Carter is silencing it. The air that sustains Bound for Glory is not there because Dixie Carter is suffocating it. One more week. One more impact. One more chance to see, hear, and breathe. I'm Tazmart 2002, and that was my Tna Impact Analysis for October 10th, 2013. If you're listening to me on YouTube, please leave your comments below. Click the like or dislike button, and if you subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to me on the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page, you can leave your comments below and click the like button if you like what I've been saying. If you have any questions or comments about TNA or wrestling in general, you can contact me on Twitter, Tazmart2002. That's TAZMARK 2002. And if your comments exceed the 140, get at me with an email. Tazmart2002 at gmail.com. Now, I also do a TNA Impact review with Chuck P. And we'll be on live this Friday morning at 11:30 Eastern Time. on Chuck P's channel. And it appears that this will be our permanent time because it's good for both our schedules. Also, Chuck P will be doing a Bound for Glory preview this Saturday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And I am planning to be a part of it, so make sure you watch for that. And if you haven't given Chuck P's channel a look, check him out. We will also be doing a Bound for Glory review. We haven't decided what time we're going to be doing that, what day. So if you go to Chuck P's channel, he'll definitely be able to update you on any information concerning that. But we will be doing a Bound for Glory review as well. It'll be Chuck P, myself, Carl Cleveland, and maybe others. So definitely watch for that. And go to Chuck P's channel, and he'll keep you informed on that. It was a decent show. Decent show. Where is the TNA Television Championship? What happened to the title that could be used as a stepping stone to the world title? Storyline wise, it was lost in the mind of dumbass Joseph Park. Realistically, it was quietly retired. The X Division Championship has become that springboard that leads a wrestler to becoming the one that faces the world champion. But that's only once a year. Having a TV champion who defends his title every week has always been a great angle. Executing it is always something different, or in TNA's case, non-existent. If TNA is supposedly moving in a new direction toward a new destination, take a detour and pick up the TV title on the way, wherever it is. I'm Tazmart 2002, gone.